for even longer. And that turned out to be very big because that Heal Pulse allowed Arcanine to take a Night Slash from Kartana later in the battle, and getting rid of that Kartana basically sealed up the game for Leonard. So we're gonna have to see what adjustments John can potentially make to play around that Tapu Fini. It's gonna have to get one of those adjustments, though. Could be his playing around with Tapu Lele on his side, seeing if he can maybe get off some free Sidekicks and try free Sidekicks off one of the Tapu Fini's partners like that Arcanine. Because once Arcanine goes down, Kartana will basically have a free reign on Leonard's team, being able to fire off Leaf Blade and Sacred Swords without fear of being intimidated to those fire type decks. But we're going to jump back into team preview. Leonard's team, of course, is Tapu Fini, Arcanine, Porygon 2, Garchomp, Tapu Lele, and Muck. John with that Tapu Lele, Kartana, Arcanine, Smeargle, Gastrodon, and Muck. John, though, is the one that is locking in here, so knowing what adjustments he needs to make in order to come back for this game, too, and Leonard quickly following up with his team selection. So we're going to see leads here. Sorry about that. John going to go with his own Muck and Gastrodon, so a very bulky lead once again coming out from his side of the field. And we see Arcanine and Porygon 2 coming out from Leonard, so same leads as game 1 on his side of the field. And then Intimidate's going to be very important on that Muck, going to lower that Muck's damage output. We see an attack boost from Porygon 2, so that Frustration is about to be doing a lot of damage here. Very interesting position here. I don't know if Leonard knows this or not, but we saw in round 1 that Gastrodon is actually carrying a Water Z Crystal. So that Hydro Vortex is threatening a one-hit knockout onto Arcanine, and Arcanine is very afraid of that Gastrodon. It's going to switch out in the Tapu Fini, so maybe predicting that Z move to come out from Gastrodon here. Misty Surge, though, will be preventing any poison from Muck if it goes for like a Poison Jab or another Toxic from Gastrodon. But we do see Tapu Lele come in on John's side. Going to get that Psychic Surge up and allow Gastrodon to poison this Porygon 2 if that is what it chooses to go for. And we do see Toxic from Gastrodon on the Porygon 2. Going to put this on a timer now. And we're going to have to see if Leonard decides if he just wants to continuously fire off these frustrations. We saw it did good damage to Gastrodon there, doing about 40%. However, now that it is on poison, it is on a timer, and it will continuously be taking more damage. So we're going to have to see if he wants to switch that out sooner or later to reset that Toxic counter. But Tapu Lele on the field for John is very important. We know it is Choice Scarf, so it will be moving first and being able to fire off very powerful Psychics for him. But we see Muck switching in for the Tapu Fini, so trying to get that in there for Tapu Fini so it does not take any damage from Psychic. However, John reads into that and goes for the Psychic onto Porygon 2. And we see Frustration doing so much damage to Tapu Lele, doing about 70% there. So very, very, very good damage there from that Frustration. And of course, Gastrodon going for a Toxic onto Muck, but will not be affected thanks to its Poison typing. So once again, this Muck is in a very good position here, being able to threaten a knockout onto Tapu Lele with a knockoff or Poison Jab, and Gastrodon not really threatening big damage off one to either of these Pokemon, but that could easily change with a Hydro Vortex, but we could just see it recover to get all of its health back. Arcanine coming out for John's side, getting that Intimidate off onto both of these physical attackers, and we do see the Psychic Seed go off here, so going to get that +1 special defense, and we see Porygon actually is the one to opt for recover. Going to get back up to around full HP thanks to that recover, and we see Muck go for a knockoff onto Arcanine, but will do less damage thanks to Arcanine consuming its Psychic Seed. And we do see Gastrodon go for that recover, getting back up to full health. And we see the poison there from Porygon 2, starting to do a little bit more damage. And that could be potentially important here if John is, if his Arcanine is carrying, a close combat to do more damage to Porygon. However, I do not believe he is running that. So this poison is really his only way of getting big damage off onto Porygon 2. So we'll see if Leonard decides to switch it out so he can so that Porygon takes less damage in later turns. But we're actually going to see the Muck switch out on his side. And in comes his own Arcanine. Getting an Intimidate off onto both of these special attackers. And we'll have to see what Arcanine on John's side goes for. We actually see a Flamethrower. Who is this going to target? It's going to target the Arcanine, so very good switching by Leonard. Not really doing all that much, doing a decent amount of damage, but it's thanks to that critical hit. And we see a return from Leonard's frustration from Porygon 2, doing a little bit of damage, and we do see the Z move from John's Gastrodon. Gastrodon surrounding itself with its Z power, unleashing its full force Z move, that Hydro Vortex. Is this going to target the Arcanine? It is. Very good read there by John, knowing that Arcanine could potentially come in for the Muck, and is able to pick up the one-hit knockout on that Arcanine. And that's a very big play for John, because if he has that Kartana in the back, Kartana can start doing a lot of work against Leonard's team. And we just see how much damage that Toxic is doing to Leonard's Porygon now. He's going to have to switch it out here eventually, or it's going to be very low. And I don't know if he wants to lose that offensive threat just yet. We see Misty Surge from Tapu Fini come back out on the field. One thing we could see from this Tapu Fini is we saw the Swagger earlier, so Porygon 2 going to hit very hard with +2 frustrations if that is what Leonard decides his play is going to be. Or we could see it switch out in the Muck, and Muck can get a +2 from Swagger. But we don't see any switches here. Arcanine goes to the Flamethrower onto Porygon. And we see Tapu Fini go for a Heal Pulse onto Porygon 2. So we're going to bring that back around to full health. Very good play there from Leonard to get that Porygon back up. Well, we actually see Gastrodon go before Porygon here, so maybe signifying, yep, we do see the Trick Room from Porygon 2. So Muck will have the speed advantage once it decides to come back on the field. But we see that Toxic starting to take a serious toll on Porygon. So maybe switching out here to get that Muck on the field so it can take advantage of Trick Room and reset its own Toxic counter. Tapu Fini here is in an interesting position. Like was mentioned in Game 1, Muddy Water will be doing good damage to Arcanine, but it will be boosting Gastrodon's special attack stat. We see Gastrodon go for a Scald onto that Muck switch in, not doing a lot of damage, but thanks to the Misty Terrain cannot be burned. And we see the Swagger from Leonard's Tapu Fini onto Muck, boosting his attack sharply. And we see a Morning Sun come out from Arcanine. So Arcanine playing a little bit passive here. Didn't really lose all that much HP, but going to make it sure it gets back up to full. And Muck is starting to threaten off huge damage with that knockoff. So it'll be interesting to see who it is going to target, or it can go for a Poison Jab onto Arcanine, which will do more damage, thanks to Arcanine not having that Misty Seed anymore. But we see Gastrodon actually underspeeding Muck and going for a Scald here. Going to bring it down to about 50%, but it's going to proc that Papa Berry. So Muck going to get back up to full health and fire off a knockoff into Gastrodon, doing a lot of damage, bringing it down to the red. Tapu Fini goes for a Heal Pulse on the Muck. However, its HP is full and does not have any, so will not do anything that turn. So a wasted turn there from Tapu Fini, while Arcanine gets a Flamethrower off on some Muck. So a very interesting play for going for the Heal Pulse there. Maybe thinking that the Scald would not proc the Berry and would get back up to full thanks to the Heal Pulse. But maybe not. We see a Poison Jab though from Muck onto Arcanine doing a lot of damage, and we do see another Heal Pulse onto Muck. Going to bring it back up to full. And we see Arcanine just going to go for another Flamethrower, trying to chip away at this Muck. Going to do the same amount of damage it did last time, bringing Muck down to roughly 70% health or so. And Gastrodon, of course, we saw the recover that turn, so be interesting to see if it decides to go on the offensive, in which it does, going for that Scald onto Muck. Will we see another Heal Pulse on Tapu Fini after this? Muck goes for Poison Jab onto Arcanine. Gonna pick up the KO there with the Poison Jab. So that threat of Intimidate is now gone from John's side of the field. And we see Heal Pulse once again onto this Muck. Gonna bring it back up to near full health. But we see Trick Room go off, is run out, as well as that Misty Terrain. So Gastrodon can start firing off a Toxic into that Tapu Fini slot if it thinks that is its best play. We see Muck coming on John's side, going to be threatening that Tapu Fini with a poison jab. Or we could see it say go for a curse of its own to start preparing itself for the long game by boosting its attack and defense for Leonard's own Muck. So it will deal less damage with its own knockoff. Could see, yeah, we do see Tapu Fini come back. Gonna send out that Porygon 2, so wanting to preserve his Misty Terrain for later, knowing that it could be very important to continue to boost up his Muck's attack more in later turns, start dealing more damage. We see Muck protect itself here, very afraid of getting burned by a Gastrodon Scald potentially. See Poison Jab, get a critical hit on a Porygon 2, and right down to 23 HP, and will not be able to pick up the KO this turn with the toxic damage. However, it will be able to pick up the knockout on that Porygon 2 next turn if it does not choose to go for the recover. So we see Muck here on Leonard's side still in a very good position thanks to those boosts. We'll be able to do a lot of good damage to either side of either of Leonard's Pokemon. But Leonard's own Porygon 2, we could see a recover or an attack, but we see it actually switch out for Tapu Fini. So not wanting his Muck to get burned by a Scald, if that is what John's Gastrodon decided to go for here. So Misty Surge is going to get that Misty Terrain on the field. John's Muck actually going for a taunt on the Tapu Fini. So Tapu Fini will not be able to go for that Swagger anymore onto Leonard's own Muck. See Scald from Gastrodon doing a good amount of damage to Muck. Bring it down to about 75% health or so. And a very big play there from John. Very good read by going for that taunt, knowing that he can either stop Porygon from going for Trick Room, or if Tapu Fini tried to come back in, it can no longer go for those Swaggers or Heal Pulses. So we do see its attacking option is Moonblast, doing very little damage to that Muck, so showing that Tapu Fini is not very invested in its special attacks. That Poison Jab from Muck doing over 50% to that Tapu Fini on Leonard's side. So we'll be able to pick up the knockout next turn potentially. But we do see leftovers. So that with that leftovers HP recovery, we'll have to see if this is potentially a damage roll on the Tapu Fini and if it will be able to take another Poison Jab. We see the Tapu Lele come back in now. So Tapu Lele going to be able to fire a Moonblast. Not going to want to Psyche that Muck, so we might see a Moonblast in that slot trying to get more damage off. And Muck on John's side, probably just going to go for that Poison Jab into the Tapu Fini slot, knowing that it could either pick up the knockout there, or it can pick up a knockout onto the Porygon 2 that is in the back. So we do see it switch out into the Porygon 2, so just sacking off his beloved Duck. Porygon 2 is going to get a very useless attack boost. We actually see Muck on Leonard's side go for the Protect, so not wanting to take this Moonblast just yet. We actually see Dazzling Gleam coming out from John's Tapu Lele. One going to hit both Pokemon on that side of the field. Porygon 2 is going to go down, and now that allows a free switch in for Tapu Fini to come in and reset the Misty Terrain. And can start, and of course its Taunt wore off now that it's switched out, and it can start using Heal Pulse, or it can go for Swagger onto his own Muck. Alright, there is the Tapu Fini. Misty Terrain will come out thanks to that Misty Surge. And a very interesting play from John there to actually go for a Dazzling Gleam. Probably wanting to make sure that there was no damage roll on the Poison Jab from Muck. So basically wanted to guarantee that he was going to pick up a knockout there regardless. We see Tapu Fini is actually the one wanting to protect this turn. And there is the Dazzling Gleam from Tapu Lele. How much will this do to Muck? It's not going to be able to even come close to a KO. Does a decent amount. Going to bring it back under 50%. We see a Poison Jab from the Muck on John's side, going to that Tapu Fini protect, and Muck will KO John's Tapu Lele thanks to that Swagger boost from earlier, knocking off its Choice Scarf. Tapu Fini gonna get leftovers health back. However, it has a free Swagger or Heal Pulse onto this Muck. So we can either decide if it wants, and we do see Heal Pulse, so wanting to set up this Muck for the end game, getting it back up to full HP. Then we see a Poison Jab into Tapu Fini. Will this be enough to pick up the knockout? It is not. Living with 21 HP, and we see a knockoff from Leonard's Muck doing a whole lot of damage onto that slot. knocking off the Figgy Berry, so Muck will not get that recovery back. And it is in range of, may or may not be in range of another knockoff. We'll have to see if Tapu Fini just decides to go for a Moonblast to make sure it is not a damage roll, or can just swagger Muck and just make sure, and we do see the swaggering Muck to make sure that knockoff, or to make sure that knockoff or Poison Jab will KO John's Muck this turn. Muck, of course, not being confused thanks to that Misty Terrain. We see Poison Jab doing no damage to Leonard's Muck, and his own Muck will go for the Poison Jab here into John's Muck, picking up the KO, and Leonard Craft takes that game in a very demanding 2-0 fashion. And Leonard now improves to 3-0 on the day. So we saw Leonard's Tapu Fini there put in a lot of work. That's not a set we really see all that much with the swagger and the heel pulls. That set just allowed his own Muck to just take complete control over the game, just being able to continuously heal up when it got low, elongating its time of just sitting around on the field and boosting its attack, so it just became almost an undefeatable tank. But even after that defeat, we'll have to see if John is able to rebound from that. 2-1 now. He's still in a very good position to make top cut, but still rounds to be played. I wish both players the best, and we're going to take a quick break here, and please come back for round 4.